What's up, losers? Welcome to the complete dodging tutorial. Before we even start, I just want to kind of stress the importance of dodging. Basically, the why to dodge. Um, Dodging can help people climb to ranks that they otherwise couldn't have with skill. There are plenty of silver players that probably could be in mid-gold or even platinum just by using these strats. There are people in Diamond that could probably hit Masters, also just by using these strats. And since we're getting close to the, end of rank season, we want to get rewards and all that good stuff, I thought it'd be a good time to bring it up. So what we're looking at right here, just for an example, is my old Wingo MD account. You can see, classic Aatrox, high win rate, pretty high KDA. This is how I used to be. This was just from, my expertise on the champion. My Aatrox used to be, pretty good. So this is what my expertise got me. Now that that champion isn't there, I still have these types of performances on my Smurf accounts, just by using these strats. So here's one from yesterday. This is a new account I've been using, but you could see new Aatrox, we have Zed, we have Pantheon, we have some Ari. These aren't things that I'm necessarily a beast at, right? But I still have a pretty high, win rate coming out of the bat just by using these strats. Another example would be my Lord Smon account. So, the Zed genius in our group is Tyler Brown, Mr. Juice Guy Brown. But somehow I was able to get, into plat just by abusing these strats. So, I'm clearly not that good at Zed. My KDA is pretty low, as you can see. This just came from dodging and stuff like that. That's why you get all these monstrous win rates like Dopa, 67 wins, 5 losses, for example. It's not like he literally, queues up, play again, play again, play again, and just like is a monster every game. I mean, he uses these strats, just like me. But he's also better at the game, so the combination of them just propels him to these massive win rates. So yeah, basically I believe that I personally would be able to hit platinum playing any champion in any role in under 50 games using these strats, maybe less if it's like belongs to that role. But games can pretty much be won or lost in champion select. If any of you guys watch pro play, like on ALCS and stuff like that, you'll always have the shoutcasters saying things like, oh, a good draft can mean GG easy before the game even begins. The same is kind of true for solo queue, and perhaps even more so, since in solo queue you have things like rage quitting, your Tyler 1s, you have your off rolls, whole bunch of fun topics that you could kind of prepare for or prevent. So I'm actually going to put a visual on the screen real quick. Let's see if I can find it. Just give me a second. There we go. Let's put that here, make it bigger. Alright, so this is what I would personally go by. What I go by whenever I climb on a Smurf or regular play. As you can see, I have different brackets for the different elos. We'll start out with low elo. So if anyone's in, bronze, 2 low gold, this is what I would be using. And then you can modify it a little based on what you prefer. If you want to be a little safer, then that's fine. But I would at least go by these things here. So this is how I make all my great win rates when I start on Smurfs. Things to look out for. So when you pop into a lobby, it's going to show a list of people that entered the lobby, 5 people, right? You're going to copy, paste those people, open up good old op.gg, and then you would, paste the people. And once you paste the people, they'll let you know all that good stuff, like their win rate, what champions they play, if they're on loss streaks, etc. And all of this information can help you prepare for the game. So things that I would look out for, and when I say look out for, I mean like negatives. This means dodge if you see this. 3 or more people on loss streaks. Low elo. I wouldn't say it's a direct correlation, but the younger people tend to be lower elo, whereas the people who've been playing a little longer, older people, they're higher elo. Younger people have a bit of a, tempers. Loss streaks can really determine how they play in any certain game. They can get tilted pretty easily. If they're winning, they'll win. If they're losing, they'll lose, etc. So if you have 3 or more, then that's sometimes too hard to carry, even in low elo, so you just want to dodge that. Next one would be 3+ game loss streaks. So on that I mean individual player. If someone just has 2 games lost, I mean that happens. Everyone loses a game here and there. Sometimes they're back to back. But if there's 3+ game loss streaks, you kind of want to, that brings you a red flag. You want to look at that. So you would want to look at the person's profile and check out how they're losing. Do they have insane KDAs? They're just getting unlucky with their teams, or are they 0-15, kind of running it down type thing? And if it's the 0-15, obviously you want to dodge. They're just going to do that again. But if it's something you can work with, then you just want to kind of ignore it for the time being. Next thing would be bad win rates. So in low elo, sub 40% categorizes as a bad win rate. For me at least. If you have anyone like this, you normally want to dodge. These people will just, straight up suck. So they won't win a lot of games. So it's just something you don't want to play with. Next thing will be Lee Sin, Thresh, etc. So these are the skilled champions. Everyone wants to, make these flashy outplays and stuff, so they play things like Lee Sin and Thresh, but they don't know enough about the game that they're just, bad mechanically, and since they're focusing so much on mechanics, they're bad at the game as well. So if you have a low elo player in one of these, instant dodge. Next thing would be all AD. By that I mean, all AD characters. So if you have your Zed mids, AD jungle, the more AD you have, the more armor the enemy team can build, and if it gets to late game, you just lose because they negate all your damage. So that's nothing you want to play with. Good. So this category is things that will offset one of the others, for example. So if you have a bad win rate, but then you have something in the good category, that's a good thing. So the first one would be a 60% plus win rate. That is what I would categorize as a smurf. And this doesn't necessarily mean a smurf, it could just mean lucky or something like that. But 60% normally means, they have a good grasp of what they're doing. They're not gonna, try to lose the game or anything like that. They aren't too prone to tilt. So that's something you want to see. That will offset a bad win rate or a loss streak. No off roll. So if you have a player playing his champion in his role, and you have a lot of them, that can also offset a bad situation, like a bad win rate. And then the last thing I have on that list is safe picks. So a lot of games people can't close out because they aren't good enough, or there's an inting teammate or two, so it takes a while for the game to kind of get to a closing point. In this situation, you want to have a lot of scaling picks, like a Tristana, for example. If you look at Reckless, I don't know if anyone follows EU LCS, but he played Tristana to great success in Europe and had a 13-0 record with her or something. Even in the Pro League, he just, waited long enough that in the game that they would just win if they got to the 25-minute mark or something like that. So having good scaling on your team is always a good thing. That will also offset some of the bad things. So that's low elo. If you find yourself in the next bracket, this is what I call mid-elo for me. This is around gold to, mid-gold, like gold 3 to plat 4. So in this bracket, things you want to look out for: 2 loss streaks. In low elo, you can carry a few tilted players, but once you get to mid elo, you really want to have as few tilted players as possible. 4+ game loss streaks. Here, it's easier to lose games, in mid elo, so you can kind of excuse a 3-game loss streak, but a 4, you really want to kind of check out what's going on. For mid elo, the bad win rate is 45%. Normally silver, bronze, and low gold, you just have an assortment of players that don't really play the game at all to who are really bad, and they aren't really in the spot they're supposed to be in. So it's hard to, define how good they are. Once you get past that, people's win rates actually show who they are. So anything sub 45 is, someone who shouldn't be there, someone really bad. Still want to look out for your Lisa and Thresh, etc. Want to watch out for all AD, and now is when you want to start worrying about bad matchups. So players will start to understand how to win lane phase and stuff like that. So say for example I'm playing Aatrox. A bad matchup for Aatrox is Garen. I can't really kill him in lane because he's too tanky, so I can't get a good lead and carry. So if the enemy team picks Garen, for example, I would just dodge. There's a chance that I just can't get a good enough lead and that they, win because the game's kind of out of my hands once scaling comes into play and all that. At that point, you would want to, dodge. As far as good, same thing as last time. 60% plus win rate's good. No off rolls, and then safe picks. As far as high elo, for me, I consider high elo anything from like Plat 3 to Challenger. I would treat all the games the same way. But you want to look out for, this is the new one, one tricks off their one trick. So me, for example, my Aatrox was probably around a 60% win rate whenever I got to a diamond on an account, and my overall was around 50 to 55, which means that my off roll is between like 40 and 50, which is not as good odds. And then other one tricks is way more severe. It's like 70% on their one trick, and then when they're off one trick, it's like 30. So definitely something you want to dodge. And that would especially be things like Kha'Zix, Aesol, and Bard, since those characters are, they're pretty unique. They don't play like other champions, so people understand the champion more than the game itself. What's next? Bad win rates of 45%. So this is where you really start to weed people out. Or if you have a lot of bad win rates, like 45 to 49, that's also not good. High elo, you don't really have to worry about the Lee Sin and Thresh, and only if they're playing that in, Diamond elo or High Plat elo, they know kind of what they're doing, so that's fine. All AD, you still want to dodge. Bad matchup, you definitely want to dodge. You're the only constant factor in all your games, so you want to make sure that you have a winning matchup, you know what you're doing. The only, factors that you can account for is how the enemy team, or I mean how your teammates are going to do about it. So always make sure you have a good matchup. Good. 55% win rate. So once you get to higher elo, it's going to be harder to essentially smurf there. You just lose percentage points in your win rate so quickly on your grind there that it's hard to find people above 55%, so that's going to be like the new margin for smurfs. Another good thing is one trick's not on tilt. So one tricks, like I said before, will have a really good win rates on what they play on, but things that they don't play on, they're bad on. If a one trick is not on tilt, it's as good as a smurf pretty much. You can look at their individual champion win rate as their win rate for that. And then good jungler. So this one's really important. You can see things like Tarzan or Levi getting like 70% win rates to Challenger. You can't really do that with any other role other than jungle, so you just want to, if you can secure a good jungler by looking at op.gg and seeing some good ones, then all the better for you. It's a good sign for your game. Safe picks, it's always a good thing. If you have a good scaling, then you have something to fall back on.